Who here is ready for a show? I met one gal that's ready for a show. I visited my daughter she's a nurse in Nashville, and a lady was in the elevator. This short little lady looks up at me and she goes, "Are you Doug in Exile?" I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "You are really, really tall in real life." She goes, "I watch your show every day." I love it. I love my people that support this show. Of course, Ilhan Omar is not having a great day. She ain't getting no dough. They're cutting funding to Somalia. Marco Rubio's got the announcement, and that makes me happy. Is it right to be happy when things go bad for Democrats? Yes, because they're literally trying to destroy the country. So people go like, "Oh, Doug, you're not being very generous to the opposition." Don't call the opposition enemies. They're Americans. No, I know their values. I hear their words. They're enemies to America. They despise this country too, and they despise Americans. Welcome to Doug in Exile to the chat. You, of course, are the stars of this show. You tell us where you're from in the chat. You give us a thumbs up. Moderators are green wrenching everything. Great work. I just love it. I was, you know what? Let's show the video. I'm not going to I'll dilly-dally with you guys later. There's people that want to get straight to the news, and we'll get straight to the news. Look, here's Marco Rubio with the news.
Of our foreign policy, and it should be used for the purpose of furthering the national interest. That doesn't mean we don't care about human rights. That doesn't mean we don't care about starvation. That doesn't mean we don't care about hunger. That doesn't mean we don't care about humanitarian need. What it does mean, however, is that even foreign aid, which is not charity, it is an act of the U.S. taxpayer. Now, American charities are free to give their money to whoever they want, as long as it's not a sanctioned entity. But the United States and the taxpayer money should be spent in furtherance of our foreign policy, should be spent in places and on things that further our foreign policy. And even that is not unlimited. We have a limited amount of money that we can dedicate to foreign aid and humanitarian assistance. And that has to be applied in a way that furthers our national interests. And that's what we have sought to do as well. And in that endeavor as well, we have empowered the regional bureaus and our embassies to play a dramatic role. In fact, they are not just the implementers of this. They, in many cases, are the ones that are suggesting and are leading the response. And so bringing the tools of foreign aid underneath the umbrella of our broader foreign policy has been an important and dramatic reform. Even in the midst of all that, we remain engaged around the world, including in conflicts that perhaps are not central to everyday life in America.
Okay. So I know the sound was down on that. You guys are telling me in the chat. I appreciate that. And I love when you guys tell me that it's too low. There's nothing I can do about raising the sound on someone else's video. On this feed, I'd have to use a different system. So, but I will quickly tell you what he said, which is America is not forced to fund Somalia, that we tend to want to fund places where it's in our interest. And he said he encourages people to, if they care about starvation or whatever, to charitably donate. This is about the Somali terrorists, and there's something going on behind the scenes where they would not show the accounting for where our money was going. And we start looking at it, we're going, hey, they're buying bullets. They say they're going to help food. They end up funding terrorism. And really what this is this was the primary or one of the sources of grift for Ilhan Omar, where they use compassion on Somalia, and Americans are compassionate people. I think we're incredibly kind and generous people compared to the rest of the world anyways. That is, if the rest of the world had the same amount of money as we did, I assume they'd give less. I know Somalis would be giving us less. And you see how other countries talk about us and treat us. I'm not saying America is, I don't think we're saved and going to heaven because of the money and the charity we give. I do know that we're better than every other nation that has this amount of wealth in sharing. It is not in their values to share. By the way, it also those statistics are also proven out in political party in America. The more conservative you are, the more likely you are to give. We're more likely to volunteer both time and money. The more conservative you are, the more liberal you are, the more you think it's the government's job, and therefore you don't give anything. By the way, the statistics not only come down to volunteering, helping with aid, but also conservatives give more blood. We give more of our own body for strangers than liberals do. The statistics are clear. Go look them up. Don't complain to me. I'm only saying that when someone says you don't give enough to Somalia, I go, there's not an absolute number of what we ought to give. So all you can do is compare us to every other country, and we give more than any other country. We're better than most of them. So Ilhan Omar's form of grift, and we saw every kind of grift known to man happening with many of the Somali, both illegals and legals that came over here for asylum. They work on your compassion. They know that we're compassionate people, and they take advantage of it. For instance, they said, we want to open up this charity to help daycare for working moms. We want to open up this school to help autistic kids. And the money wasn't going where they said. I believe Gavin Newsom does the same thing in California. When they talk about starving this, starving that, George Soros has raised money to help people, help educate kids, and the money was put into Democrat candidates. How's that sound? $5 super chat from MAGA Justin. So happy it's Thursday. Love the Exile family. That is just ebullient and joyful and very kind of you to do. We are this audience is different than other shows. I have the most interactive audience. You guys show up. You'll also notice in the comments we have less losers, weirdos, conspiracy theorists, and more just red and blue-blooded American patriots. In other words, we're the mass, we're the center, we're the norm. And I could grow the channel. To grow the channel, you have to go out to all these little weird corners. You have to go out and get, losertarians. I have to get white supremacists, or I have to get more rhinos, or more be open to liberals and don't insult them so much. I have to go after homosexuals and atheists. And I just go, I'm just going to do the positive case for MAGA because I believe MAGA is here to save America. MAGA is a political movement, make America great again, and it's under Donald Trump. If you oppose Donald Trump, you're not MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not MAGA. She might think she's for America or for making America great, but she's not make America great again. She's not pro-Trump. That is the biggest form of what helps America in the last 10 years is Donald Trump. No Donald Trump, no Republican would win. The Democrats would be stomping us all, even more so in Congress, in the Senate, and in the presidency. In short, America would be over without Donald Trump. So I can sit here and I can make fun of Donald Trump all day for not being super tight about the Constitution. I don't think he's even read it. I don't think he cares. He's not sitting there a constitutional scholar going in the Second Amendment, this rider was put in 1870 by James K. Polk. And, he doesn't care. He's like, I got shot in the air. Someone tried to kill me, and I'm here to save America. And now I don't care what the rules are. And that's the guy I'm following, even into Iran. Now, speaking of Iran, here's one of our casualties. As you guys know, that art back there is the art I did for a KC-135. That is giant plastered on the side of one of our refueling vessels. When I did it, it was originally over at Beale Air Force Base, a refueling ship. Other people talk about patriotism. I have a long service of loving our military. Never joined myself. Everyone else is a bigger man than me that does that. Gifted one Doug in Exile membership. That means someone can get a free Doug in Exile membership. Memberships are open. You can join. It's just a way to say thank you and hi, and it shows that you support the channel. Let's get to that KC-135. It got boomed. Here we go. This is from Central Command, CENTCOM. U.S. Central Command is aware of the loss of the U.S. KC-135 refueling aircraft. I hope it's not old granddad, my aircraft, that I have the art on. The incident occurred in friendly airspace during Operation Epic Fury. By the way, there are casualties to this war. You guys know this. We have more casualties in peace, but through accidents, when you move troops around and move equipment, we have more deaths and injuries in peace than in war. I think we've only lost 6 soldiers in war now in this last year. Rescue efforts are ongoing, so we're in trouble on this one. 2 aircraft were involved in the incident. One of the aircraft went down in West Iraq. And the second, so Iraq allegedly could help us, because remember, Iran is bombing on Iraq, so Iraq might just want to give us a hand there. And the second landed safely. This was not due to hostile fire or friendly fire, read more. So it could be, that's the nozzle that comes down but behind the ship and then goes into the front end of a ship to be refueled. I don't know. Tampa, Florida, U.S. Command is aware of the loss. More information will be made available as the situation develops. We ask for continued patience to gather additional details. And you can imagine, to clarify for the family service members. So if a plane went down, and I'm praying that there be no casualties, but if a whole KC-135 went down in the crew, that's going to be a very sad event. And we just pray for those families. If that was the plane that I did the art on, I might have known some of the guys on the plane, but pray. 24/7, guys. Okay, here we go. Now here's a little more good news. I thought as you guys know, I've covered the Letitia James stuff for a long time on this channel. It's been my bread and butter for a long time. Okay. Let's do this one. Trump demands New York AG Letitia James to turn over communications with Michael Cohen. Do you guys remember Michael Cohen? He was kind of simple sounding. Oh, that Trump. Oh, he was bad. And he basically lied to everyone all the time. He was Trump's fix-it man. Boy, bad company. He was Trump's fix-it man. And now they want his communications because he, after the ex-fixer claimed he was coerced, he claimed he was coerced by the Democrats. So now that Trump is winning, he flips the other side. He goes, I was coerced when I said those things against Trump. I would never say those things against Donald Trump. That's what he sounds like. $10 super chat. Just joking, Jimmy. Just supporting one of my all-time favorites. Thanks for this channel. Thanks for Earthworm Jim. Thank you so much for that $10. It's very kind of you. And I love being your favorite channel. I'm working my hardest to bring you the best news. You guys will notice, look at my garbage set behind me. We'll read the rest of this article in just a minute, okay? Look at this garbage set behind me, okay? I don't want my place to look like a movie studio. Wait a minute. Are we connected? Can you guys hear me? Sound on. Sound on. Give me a thumbs up if you hear me. Thumbs up if you hear me right now. How's that? And that's the only way that I would know that you can hear me, okay? Yes, okay, we're good. I want my studio to look casual like this because I always want to look like a real human being and not a Fox News studio. So I could take some of our resources and buy bigger cameras and do the, bit the computerized American flag waving behind me to turn all this into spam. I'm an actual patriot, actual one. This American flag, the American flag means something to me. It's not product. Prayers for all troop members. Johnny, my Johnny, who's in boot camp in the Marines right now, and happy Patriots. Thank you so much. Sherry LaSalle, member for 5 months. Yeah, my son, I got skin in the game. My son, anyways, has skin in the game. Okay, here we go. President Trump's lawyers Wednesday demanded the release of all communications between Michael Cohen and New York Attorney General Letitia James's office in response to a revelatory Substack post the ex-fixer Michael Cohen made in which he claimed he was pressured and coerced. I was pressured and coerced to testify against Trump. Now that he wrote that in a Substack, and Substack is where you can subscribe to people and read their writings. And if he admitted that, if he said he was coerced, now they have the Department of Justice has a right to ask him for all communications relating to being coerced, because that would be an illegal activity. I think this is brilliant. I love it. Good move, Pam Bondi and Trump. By the way, Pam Bondi had to get moved out of her house and put on a base. They put her in a secret base because she had death threats on her. That's what you get for doing your job. You get the internet saying you need to be fired, both sides. Then you get your life threatened. I think she's an amazing patriot. The 25-page filing comes about a month before Trump's team is due to file a brief in the New York State Court Appeals. Now, we'll cover this too. This will be next month. In response to Letitia James's request for the $500 million civil fraud penalty against the president, which was thrown out last August to be reinstated. So she wants it reinstated. Trump appeals next month. The president's legal team called for an order requiring the production of all records, all communications between Mike Cohen, and the Democratic AG, Attorney General Letitia James, and her staff, including interview transcripts, notes, emails, letters, and recordings, which was not released to the public. There she is. What a lovely specimen. Love your enemies, guys. The attorney noted that Cohen's testimony is at the heart of the NYAG's case and prompted James' office to launch politically charged investigation of Trump, his family, and their businesses. They explained that Cohen's alleged communications with James's office are vital as they decide whether to file a motion to vacate the judgment. That's good work. Good job, Pam Bondi. Godspeed to you. And may you also find protection. Let's see what's next here. I got to get through these quick. Well, here's one. Here's a good one. This one is Iran-backed terror group allegedly used the crypto exchange Binance to move over $1 billion to fund their terrorism. The Justice Department is now reportedly launching an investigation into these transactions. So that's the headline. And you guys know I'm into crypto. I own a little bit of Bitcoin, and I've done some of my own crypto stuff on the side. I tended to move it more into stocks recently, but and I'm looking at, there's a client that wants to advertise with us that does crypto, and I don't know. I'm still doing my research, but crypto is wonderful. It's wonderful because the government can't track your money. You put it in and you can move it, you can move it around, and it's instant movement. So you don't have to wait for a bank for 3 days for them to deposit, It's like if you need to move it from here to here, you can move it through crypto. The problem is it's not only good for us for a private transaction, it's really good for terrorists who used Binance. And Binance was just always a fishy, really bad, it had a Chinese or I don't know, Korean, the guy that ran the whole thing. He was a criminal, always in and out of jail. Trump, I believe he pardoned him. But Binance was always considered pretty grifty. So I did some NFTs through them. I didn't like that experience, but now we find out Iran, the terrorists they've moved up to $1 billion. We might be able to go back into their wallets and steal it all back. Here's Thomas Massie spent the last year insinuating that President Trump was a pedo. And that's why I'm mad at Rand Paul too. Rand Paul says he supports Thomas Massie, who's a great American patriot. I'm sorry, Rand Paul, you're wrong. A patriot does not falsely insinuate that Trump was into underage girls like Thomas Massie did. He's an enemy. And it turned out to be complete fiction. That is, he's a liar, and Rand Paul says he's a great American patriot. Sorry, Rand Paul. His little revenge project produced nothing except ammunition for Democrats to smear Trump and damage our party. I don't care if we replace him with a cardboard Ayatollah. Get Thomas Massie out of Congress. He's a grandstanding, attention-seeking snake. There you go. Here's John Thune. This one was funny because this was reposted by Elon Musk, certified as literally true. This is a headline from the Babylon Bee, which is a comedy site. Republicans warn that passing voter ID law could ruin their plan to hand Congress to the Democrats in November. This I love. This I love. John Thune, do you really want to hand Congress to Democrats in November? Here's Kash Patel on that Israel temple terrorist act today. Earlier today, an armed individual opened fire at Old Dominion University. This is the other guy drove his car into a temple, Israel, leaving one person dead and 2 others wounded. The shooter is now deceased, thanks to a group of brave students who stepped in and subdued him. Actions that undoubtedly saved lives, along with quick response law enforcement. So we did a video earlier today, if you look for it, that Iran has called all the sleeper cells in America to start conducting acts of terror. And so these could be a response to that. The FBI is now investigating the shooting as an act of terrorism. Our Joint Terrorism Task Force is fully engaged, embedded with local authorities, and providing all resources necessary to the investigation. In the meantime, please pray for our victims, their families, and the ODU community. True. Wait, there's more. Breaking. The truck used to ram the Temple Israel school in Michigan is registered to a migrant from Lebanon. I just went to Lebanon when I was in Israel, who lived in Dearborn, Michigan. Imagine my shock that this guy lives in the Muslim capital of the U.S. We cannot relax on mass deportations, denaturalize and deport. Remember that. And this is Rashida Tlaib, her stomping grounds, probably one of her good friends. And what might legitimately be the most hypocritical and insane segment I've seen in the aftermath of the Temple Israel attack, MS Now hosts Katie Tur and Chris Hayes claim, quote, the Trump administration hasn't been focused enough on domestic interests. After Biden let millions of unvetted foreigners into our country, guys, how dare they? This is Democrats. And they tie the hands of our ICE agents every step they can. They say it's president fault's because he's too focused on deporting national security threats. You know, how can Trump be at fault when he's the only one doing something about it? These Democrats are just monsters, and that's why we're voting them out. All right, guys, one last thumbs up to my people. We're up to 2,700 people. I can't thank you all for watching. I will keep you guys live up to date on stuff as they break every day at 5 o'clock Central is when we go out. And I do 2 videos during the day. The people that watch every video, they're in the Quad Club. We call them the Quad Club. We call them Quadzilla, Quad Squad, Quads. They do GC. Look at that. $100 super chat from Breck Nichols. Thank you, Breck. Doug, please hold on to this and give it to your son as a graduation gift. Don't spend it on dinner. Now, that's fair. I will do exactly that. In fact, I'm going to screen grab this to remind me that Johnny gets $100 when he graduates, when he becomes a Marine from being a recruit. He's got 2 more months, so we'll find out. I will keep this on my desktop and give him a graduation present of $100 from my people. So I can't thank you guys enough. There you are. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, shut up. Thank you. I love you guys. You guys make me so happy. America is winning, but that KC-135, I pray for that down plane, guys. We'll keep you posted on it. I'm Doug in Exile.